And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the historic 100th episode of the SportsBros Podcast, featuring the almighty Be Live, the money man, Scottie D, and the head of creative, Eddy. This is the show created by three sports fans for all sports fans. And now, without any further ado, here they are, the Sports Bros.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a milestone episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. And that intro, that was a great intro. Episode 100, y'all. 100. And with that being said, I go by the name of Eddy, aka the HOC, here at the Sports Bros Podcast, the head of creative. And it's been 100 weeks that we have been doing this. I'm over the moon. I'm just so full of love, so full of energy, a tad bit emotional, but we're here now, right? We are here. And of course, baby. Yes. And of course, doing this long episodic journey, I can't do this by myself. I have two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty Be Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? I'll tell you what's going on. As Eddy Cool's already mentioned, that HOC's already mentioned, this is episode 100. And I'm going to tell you right now, this entire episode, we going to keep it. What they say, how the kids say a band, hundo, we're going to keep it 100. The entire episode's going to be like that. It's going to be straight fire. And then there's the other guy that Eddy Cool's going to introduce. All right, yeah. All right.
All right, and with that being said, and making his 100th appearance on the Sports Bros Podcast, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, none other than the money man, Scottie D.
Happy anniversary, guys. 2-year anniversary, 100 episodes. And you guys have been lucky to have me for 2 years now. 2 years of doing this. It's hard to believe because if you think about it, when we started this, we started with a little momentum going into March Madness. Then when we hit the 1-year anniversary, March Madness got canceled. So it's like taking 2 years to come full circle to get back to doing a March Madness episode because COVID canceled us last year on that deal. But man, it is good to have Selection Sunday this year. It was great on Sunday, wasn't it, guys? Just watching them. It's what it's supposed to be, seeing the kids sit together and getting excited, seeing their name get announced on TV. So we're going to get to March Madness here in a little bit. But Eddy, 100 episodes, buddy. Congratulations to both of you. Historic. So Eddy, I'm gonna swing it back to you here, buddy. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, fellas. So here we go.
I want to mention something. I want to mention something real quick before we jump into it, because I didn't even realize it till just now, though, because I've missed a couple of episodes. Me and you, Eddy, we've missed a couple of episodes when you were graduating. Scottie D, you've held us down for 100 episodes. You haven't missed one at all, have you?
I missed 2 last summer when my dad was going through his medical issues. I probably personally, this is 98. I think it is. I think I missed 2. But we together here, baby. Sports Bros for 100.
Oh man, absolutely. And I just wanted just to give a quick shout out because it's just been amazing working with you. And that hurt to say. All right,
Felt good to hear it, though. Felt good to hear it. Thank you, guys.
Yep. All right. And with that being said, 2 years, fellas, we've had a lot of moments on this podcast where it's been 2 years and some of everything has been going on in the world of sports, in the worlds of the almighty Be Live. So with that being said, fellas, 2 years doing this podcast. I'm gonna start with you, Scottie D. I got a question for both of y'all, for both of you. Scottie D, what's your most memorable moment in the sports world during our recording of the Sports Bros Podcast?
2 years now, it doesn't seem like a long time. There's not a whole lot of history that goes on in 2 years, but a lot does happen during that time period. B-Live and I actually kind of both agreed on a competitive memory. And I'll let you allude to that here in a moment. But, I was thinking about how significant it was when Tom Brady left the Patriots after 20 years. I was thinking of that as being one of them. But the most memorable thing, significant to me personally as a Los Angeles Laker fan, was the death of Kobe Bryant. And that was just something that hit not just me hard, but I've never seen anyone's death of a public figure affect so many people. We talked about that back when it happened, because I even got emotional when we were doing that episode, because of, I watched Kobe as a kid, as an 18-year-old kid in his rookie year, all the way up, through his final game, his retirement game, he scored 60 points and all that. And, he was special to me, but I was surprised when it happened how many people were reaching out to me like I knew him. Like, they were sad. People were generally sad about the death of Kobe Bryant. And a year later, it still resonates. But that one, that was an off the field thing involving a sports figure. And that was, a painful thing, but very memorable. But B-Live, I think you and I agree on what we thought was our most memorable, significant moment when it comes to actual competition sports. So I'm going to toss it over to you for this one.
Oh, yeah. And I just want to say, absolutely, Kobe affected us all. Just his reach, his global reach is almost unheard of. But yeah, that's definitely very memorable. But yes, me and the Money Man, we agreed for like the first
time. Took 100 episodes to happen. Yeah, it took 100 episodes to get here.
I think we can count on both hands how many times we've agreed. But Tiger Woods winning the Masters in 2019. What an incredible story. And it's easily the biggest figure in golf, if not in any sport, is Tiger Woods. And, Father Time is undefeated. So it's one of those things. He's chasing Jack Nicklaus, and the younger guys are catching up to him talent-wise, and he's not winning as many tournaments, but just the way he put together that performance at the Masters was second to none. And the raw emotion,
I'm getting goosebumps listening to you talk about it. I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah. I am, really.
The raw emotion that you saw from Tiger when he embraced his son afterwards, and just everything that encapsulated that very moment. It was something great to talk about. And like I said, it's been almost 2 years. I'm excited all over again for the Masters. I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be back in April, if I'm not mistaken, this year, where it's supposed to be. And just, I can't wait for it. It's because of memories like that, the green jacket, Tiger Woods. Dustin Johnson, he won it last year, correct?
Yeah, November.
Yes, Dustin Johnson. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I can't wait for it. But yeah, that was easily the most memorable moment in sports during our tenure here at the SportsBros Podcast. Yes, sir.
How about you, Eddy Cool?
All right, so that leaves me. B-Live, please do not take this personal. But the moment that I picked was the LSU Tigers winning the national championship. And I'll tell you why it was so impactful and so memorable. It was because you had a guy by the name of Joe Burrows come out of nowhere and just set the SEC on fire. And I remember I was in a bar somewhere and I told somebody, I said, I see you over there. I said, if this guy beats Alabama, the Heisman is his. I don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs, but they're gonna make some stuff happen. And so that game came when it was the Tiger Bowl, and they played B-Live's beloved Clemson University. Go ahead and hit us with it one time, B-Live, because you didn't say it last.
I ain't hitting you with nothing, right? Just go ahead, just say what you.
All roads lead to Dabo.
I don't need that part. Right? I'm over here just trying to stomach all of this and get through the rest of that. But go ahead. I'm all right. I'm okay.
All right, so where I picked up, where I left off, just seeing Joe Burrows literally coming out of obscurity, out of nowhere, and just leading the charge up and down the field, man. And it was a real gutsy performance that got him the national championship a record-setting statistical season, and also the first round choice of the Cincinnati Bengals. He was good until he got hurt, but other than that, man, it was Joe Burrows had a very monumental statistical season, and there's another one for the LSU Tigers. Be like, are you okay? Okay, be like, I'm done. You're fine. You gonna be okay?
I'm fine. I'm okay. Everything's fine.
Good. We got through it.
I just wanted to make sure that I kept it 2 thumbs down because I had 2 other fingers I wanted to put up, but I digress.
Look at here, Stone Cold. You keep them fingers to yourself.
I'm just gonna say this for the listeners out there that Eddy Cool is a South Carolina Gamecock fan, and what they can't do, I guess they have to jump on somebody else's bandwagon. So, I mean, they've won 1 conference championship in the entirety of the existence of their program, and that was in the ACC when they were there, and they ran off to the SEC and has done nothing ever since. All Clemson's done is won 6 conference championships in a row. You know what? My bad. We press for time. We got to keep it moving. All right.
All I did want to share a memory. He just went on to a historical diatribe. Let me tell you what the great Clemson Tigers did back in 1900.
I told you what I was going to do. I told you what I was going to do. You still went with it.
I wouldn't have any other way. Are we ever going to change it? I mean, only thing I'm going to change is my underwear, okay? Not my answer. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 100 of the Sports Bros Podcast. This is what we're starting off with. Scottie D, don't you want to tell us about a golf tournament that happened this weekend? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, the big story of the weekend was obviously March Madness Championship week and all that, but the Players Championship is considered to be basically the 5th major when it comes to the PGA. Has the biggest purse. It has the most famous hole on the tour, and that's the 17th Island Green. And it's a lot of fun watching this golf tournament. And this year it did not disappoint. Justin Thomas came out on top, and after 27 holes on Friday afternoon, he would not have made the cut. He had an incredible back nine on Friday to get him back into contention to play the weekend, and then he surged on Saturday. On Sunday, he had a so-so front nine, basically just making pars, and then a big eagle and a couple birdies on the back nine. In the meantime, the final pairing for the 2nd week in a row, the unlikely pairing of Bryson DeChambeau and Lee Westwood. And I wouldn't so much say these guys folded, because this is a very difficult golf course to play. And Justin Thomas just made a historic run, and it was drama to the end. Even, I don't know if you guys saw, but on the 18th hole when Justin Thomas had his lead, he got through 17 with par, and he had a 2-stroke lead. He hits I think it was a 5-wood, and it was bending. It looked like it was going to bend into the water, and it didn't. It stayed dry just by yards, and he ended up making par to win. But, you know, he's feeling the pressure because DeChambeau was having not a great day, but you know that this dude with his power can just vault himself right back in it. And on 16, he made an eagle. So he can go birdie and still tie. You know, that's a tall order on that golf course, but just knowing DeChambeau's back there breathing down his neck with that incredible driver that he has. And DeChambeau, I'm going to tell you guys, he's more than just power. He plays with he's got a great short game. He makes a lot of putts that are not just gimme putts. Anyway, it was a great tournament. I just wanted to, before we went endlessly into March Madness, before we dove headfirst into March Madness, I just wanted to acknowledge that Justin Thomas, man, this guy he's a young kid, and he's winning a lot of tournaments for a young kid, and he's here to stay. So great tournament for watching the Players Championship down at TPC Sawgrass. But the big story, March Madness.
It is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. As we're recording, the women's brackets have just been released. Yes, the women's brackets have just been released, but we're going to talk about the guys, the bros, the boys. We're going to talk about the men's right now. All right, and as predicted, the number 1 seeds, kind of obvious. Representing the West, we got Gonzaga. Michigan representing the East, Baylor down south, and Illinois during the Midwest. So, fellas, I'm looking at the brackets. They look pretty good. They look pretty strong. So I got a few questions for you. Here's the first question. Who's going to win it all this year? Be Live, I'll start with you first.
My pick, pretty simple. They didn't win their conference, if I'm not mistaken, but just watching them play a couple of games later on in this season and everything, I think that Baylor has the recipe. Why did their guard play is second to none in NCAA. These guys can shoot lights out, and they can also put the ball on the court and drive to the hole. It's one of those things where Baylor gives you 5 people that you have to guard at all times. You can't. There's not too much help defense that you can do with Baylor, because Baylor will light you up. If you try help defense, they're pounded inside, pass it outside, great passing, very unselfish team. I pick Baylor to win it all.
All right, Scottie D, with that being said, who are you picking to win it all?
Well, everyone and their mother are going with Gonzaga, and I don't really have any reason to not. By all accounts, this is the most talented team in the field, and it's like they're due. They're there every year in the conversation. I think this could be their year. It's been a crazy year. I have to admit, guys, I haven't watched college basketball as much this year as I ordinarily would. So I'm playing catch up like with a lot of the rest of the country. I'm watching with what I'm hearing Jay Billis and Seth Davis and these guys say on TV, and I'm doing a little reading and research. I watched some college basketball. I watched Michigan play a couple times, and they kind of seem like they faded a little bit down the stretch. They lost a couple games here in the past week. I think they lost twice in the past week. That seemed uncharacteristic. I'm going to take Baylor getting upset by Purdue. I'm putting Purdue in the Final Four, coming out of the 4th spot. They would theoretically play Villanova in the second round. Villanova's having some injury issues. They're down a little bit. Some are even picking Winthrop to knock them off. I'm going Gonzaga all the way. Who did I take coming out? I think I took Texas out of that South bracket to come through Michigan side. So I got Gonzaga and Texas, and I've heard some people say Texas is a bad pick. They're ripe for the pickings. They've won some games, but not won convincingly. And then I'm going with Illinois, another Big Ten team. So those are my final 4. But I can't say that I watched enough to say Gonzaga isn't good enough, because it seems like they are from everything I've seen and read. I watch a lot of highlights. I think this is going to be Gonzaga's.
Yeah, and it seems like, is this the year for the Zags? I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't know, but from the way B-Lab was describing Baylor, man, you really can't put nothing past them. All right, fellas, and another question I want to ask: what games are you looking forward throughout the tournament? B-Live, I'll go with you first.
Well, a couple games on my radar. Of course, my Clemson Tigers. They are a 7th seed, but here's something I'm going to tell you, and it's going to shock you. I think they lose in the first round.
I picked them to.
You picked them to lose in the first round?
Yes, I did, yeah.
So did I, and because I'm going to tell you exactly why. And as much as it hurt, I was not convinced, during their 8th. I mean, they lost in the second round. They lost their first game in the ACC tournament, and they just did not look good against a Miami team that they were the 13th seed in the ACC. And that's just, did not sit too well with me. But also, I'm going to tell you who I'm looking forward to more than anything, though. I put Georgetown in the Elite 8.
Oh.
I got Georgetown. I think they are one of the hottest teams right now. There will be a video coming out shortly from the Almighty One, what happened, and I will explain to you why I picked Georgetown to go to the Elite 8, because what y'all not going to do ever again, Madison Square Garden, what y'all not going to do is disrespect Patrick Ewing, and them boys, I mean, they balled. Georgetown balled. And I think I just one of those things where just the emotion and just the drive that those guys, I think that team is just that is my Cinderella team. They're a 12th seed. I have them going to the Elite Eight at least. And I think they're gonna show up and show out. So I'm looking forward to watching Georgetown play. And unfortunately, I hope that Clemson pulls it out. But this is me being unbiased. I really just yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, not looking too promising. Scottie D, who you have in the games that you're looking forward to seeing this during the tournament?
Well, I'm along that same vein. I want to see that Georgetown Colorado game because if they're a 5-12 seed, I'm with you, man. I think that riding the emotion of that little run they had in the Big East last week, I'd like to see Georgia play a couple games. Conceivably, in the second round of that same bracket, we could get Connecticut and Alabama. I'd like to see that because Connecticut, I think, has gotten a little bit hot, and I want to see how good Alabama really is. That's a football school. I want to see how good they really are. And I tell you guys, I'm not a Tar Heel fan, but they looked pretty strong a couple games last week. They were playing above the rim. Their guys were dunking. I got them getting by Wisconsin, and I'd like to see what they have for Baylor in that second round matchup. I think that'll be a fun one to watch. So those are just a couple of ones. I mean, I like them all. I mean, more now, and we talked about this for the last several years, mid-majors have closed the gap on the big schools because the big schools, their top recruits leave, and the mid-major guys have good players that stay. So a lot of times you got teams that are junior and senior heavy playing against freshman and sophomore heavy teams, and that kind of evens the field out. And they're not intimidated anymore because so many mid-majors have had success. It's not as a big deal for a mid-major team to play, a big conference team. And so I 12s and 13s don't seem as much of a mismatch to me as they used to be. So these games are always fun, man. I just love it. The schedule's a little bit different this year, though. They're not doing all day Thursday and Friday as the first two rounds. Thursday, I think, is the first four this year, and then they're playing the first round on Friday and Saturday, and the second round on Sunday and Monday. So it's kind of gets slid back a little bit. Not a huge difference, but a little bit of a difference this year. But regardless, man, I love it. I think this is the best sporting event there is. Again, this year, and I think a little bit had to do with the fact that the COVID thing and not having fans there. I just wasn't as into college basketball as I usually am. And maybe also because our big boys have struggled this year. Duke's not in it. Kentucky's not in it. It's almost like having a Batman movie without the Joker and the Riddler. You don't have the villainous teams everybody likes to root for. People always say, I root against them. I root for the upset. Then when they lose, they stop watching. And maybe that's kind of why I wasn't as into it this year. I don't know, but at any rate, I will be watching this event this week, and I'm excited for it. What about you, Eddy Cool? Is there a particular game that you're excited to watch more than any others?
The couple of games I'm looking at, I want to see what Gonzaga is going to do during this first round, and they face the winner of the Norfolk State and Appalachian State playing game. So I got my eye on that, and then looking at my brackets, which I have in front of me, I want to see if Alabama is the real deal too. Yep. I like to see if there's a real deal. And then again, another game I'm watching is the Colorado-Georgetown game, because remember what happened the last time a Big East team messed around and got hot during the conference tournament, and they translated that to the big dance. And I'm looking at this North Carolina-Wisconsin matchup as well, too. And see what we also have going on with that. So, yeah. That's what I got. And the final two questions, let's see. Well, actually, the final question, the dark horse. Who is going to be the dark horse to win it all? Scottie D, you go first.
I'm hearing good things about Texas Tech. They would draw Arkansas in the second round. I think they could be somebody that slips through. Again, Connecticut, you never know with UConn. Their teams. I mean, Kemba Walker took those guys to a national championship, and I think they were a 7 or 8 seed that year that happened, somewhere like that. So they have a little bit of momentum, and if they would have run into Texas again, that's who I had picked for the Final Four. But A lot of people are saying Texas, like I said, is susceptible. So UConn, but I like B-Live said, Georgetown could be hot. I don't know. Michigan has been so good all year. Maybe they'll have a little regroup here and handle their business. And who knows, Georgetown may not even get that far. But that's what makes it so exciting, watching the Cinderellas run.
Yeah, B-Live, who you got for dark horse selection?
I'm gonna say this. Georgia Tech.
Ooh.
Not only did they get they won the ACC championship. When have you ever heard the ACC champion as a 9 seed? Yeah, I don't think that's happened ever in the history of ever.
No,
especially North Carolina is an 8.
Yeah, so. And Virginia's a 4. See, the Virginia understand they did have to bow due to COVID. So, I mean, that did change the scheme of things. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think Georgia Tech beats Illinois. You got Tennessee, Oregon State, Oklahoma State, Liberty. I think that it looks like it's a strong possibility there's going to be a surprise in that bracket, in the Midwest bracket. I'm curious to see how far Georgia Tech goes. Another team another little sleeper in there, Syracuse, ranked 11th, like last 4, almost like on the bubble, and they made it in. But when can you ever doubt Boeheim?
They've done that before too. They've been like a really high seeded team and got upset, and then they've been a low seeded team and made runs. Sometimes Syracuse it's like they gel together late. It takes a better part of the season before they start gelling together. And we said the same thing about Michigan State, and they end up getting in. I think they're in the play-in game, but they're in anyway. They'll be playing in this tournament. And I'm also interested. I'm interested to see how Iowa holds up, because I told you I've seen them play a couple times and wasn't impressed, and they're a 2 seed. I'm interested to see how they hold up once they start getting into the teeth of the tournament.
Yep. For me, I would also like to see what this Loyola and Georgia Tech game. I kind of got my eye on that, because as you said, B-Live, you got a low ranked seed that won the whole ACC tournament. And then, Loyola Chicago just doing what Loyola Chicago has been doing 2 of the past 3 years, and be a very good mid-major basketball team. Because as y'all mentioned, the gap between majors and mid-majors is really been closed, if not sealed. It hasn't been sealed yet, but it's been closed. Because don't forget, fellas, we've had Butler, Wichita State, Florida Gulf Coast, all those teams, do things like that and make a little noise in the college basketball tournament as well too.
And a 16-1 finally a couple years ago.
Yep.
3 years ago.
Yep.
Virginia went down.
Yep.
And I already forget who they lost to, but they lost the first time number 1 ever lost in the first round.
And then they turned around and won it all the year after. So.
Right, yeah. They're actually the defending champions 2 years later.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that, because, they are Virginia right now to
defending
champions, man. But yeah, oh my goodness, I can't wait. This is going to, I feel like both of y'all have said it, and I agree 100%, because the gap has closed. It literally makes for better basketball. It's just, honestly, we could sit here and try to give all types of expert analysis and go off the BPI and all this other stuff, strength of schedule, strength of record, and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, this is going to be, you just throw all the stats away. We're talking about young kids that are hungry. And it don't matter how big or how little your school is. There's 68 teams, and they're ready to go to battle. That's why it's called Madness. Let's go.
Bring it on.
Yep, good old March Madness. And guess what, fellas? Guess what we're about to bring on? And guess what is a representative of the madness? I'm glad you asked. It's time for a very special edition of the Choices of the Voices. And with that being said, Hey, yo, button. Hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite section of the show. You heard the woman, the choices of the voices. Number 100, hundredth, or hundredth, as the kids say. Enough of me rambling like I ain't got no sense. With that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
The question is, why haven't either of you complimented me on my Dallas Cowboy tie? That's the question.
Because there's nothing to compliment,
It's a
and
beautiful. Look at that, Dallas Cowboys, America's tie. This is,
and as I mentioned before, and now since you brought it up, you most likely overpaid for it.
All right, so the question of the week that we asked, in the spirit of March Madness, what college basketball coach do you most enjoy watching lose? We're going to watch some of these guys go down this coming week. I do have to mention Matty Ice is still in Facebook jail. So he reached out. He said that he doesn't so much enjoy watching them lose, but he did want to make note of some bad losses for Coach Chaney from Temple, and when he threatened to kill Coach Calipari for that whole thing with Temple and UMass years ago, the late John Chaney. But, yeah, he was pretty mad at that press conference. But wanted to say thank you to Matty Ice because he contributed a lot of choices of the voices the last 2 years. So thank you. I want to make sure we got him in on this segment. But Eddie, cool. Who else did we get here? What else do we have on this?
Free
on this
Matty
topic?
Ice. Free Matty Ice.
Free Matty Ice. We're going to put something on your books. We're going to put some Bitcoin on your books or something. Somehow, some way. The Sports Bros love you, man, and we miss you. We surely do miss you. All right, leading off, we got Rodney Bellamy. He said all the crybabies. He said Matt Doherty, number 1. He was a punk. And then he said, this is because he was a punk. And then he said Gary Williams, John Calipari, Roy Williams, Rick Pitino, Bill Self, and Bruce Pearl. All of them.
And it should be noted that Rodney Bellamy is a huge Duke fan. So there you go. He's going after the ACC guys, old Gary Williams and Doherty.
And I want to say thank you, sir. Thank you, and I respect this answer because he did not mention Dean Smith. So I was waiting for it, but he did not mention Dean Smith. That's a level of respect right there. So I'm okay with it. Yeah, Roy Williams, yeah, John Calipari, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yes. But yeah,
I like Cal. I like Coach Cal.
Home of the one and dones, University of Kentucky, who was going to be absent from this tournament this year. Are they absent from the NIT too? I think they are.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way in the world. They man, even if they got invited, they need to go somewhere, and as old folks would say, go somewhere and sat down.
Sat down somewhere.
Yeah.
Have several seats. All right, moving right along, we got JR. He said John Calipari and Roy Williams. I wonder why.
Another Duke fan that did not mention Dean Smith. Respect.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm very surprised. But again, I think, honestly, when it comes to coaches of that caliber and that level, it's just there's a respect level and just what they've done for their respective programs. Roy Williams inherited Dean Smith's program. And so and he don't know how to call a timeout. So I swear, I don't get it. Call timeout. Just get it together. These are 18, 19, but yeah, I could go on for days. My bad. Amtrak this thing. Yes, sir.
Put the train back on the tracks. That's what I do best. Run the point. All right, so here we go. Mark Olds, he said, I enjoyed seeing Bobby Knight lose and Jerry Tarkanian as well, too.
Yeah, the Tark. He changed the towel. He's nice. I mean, come on. I like Tark.
Yeah, if anybody's like, hey, I want to see him win. And that other guy, well, I get it. I truly get it.
Man, there was a time when everybody wanted to see Bobby Knight lose. There was a time where he had a lot of heat.
Yeah. and not the good variety. Ain't it? At one point, weren't the two most hated men in all of college basketball was Christian Laettner and Bobby Knight?
Oh yeah.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think as he got older, people started to kind of get a little sentimental feeling for him. But man, back in his Indiana heyday, everybody was on Coach Knight, boy. Nobody liked him.
Chokeholds and chairs, baby. Either get put in one or get one thrown at you. All right, moving right along, we have Corey Lockren. He said, Bobby Huggins, I can't stand him. I'm a little 50-50 on Bobby Huggins. I'm a little 50-50 on him. Yeah,
he gets a little cranky sometimes over there.
That's okay. But he be getting hangry. Bobby be eating good over there. Bobby be getting hangry. He need to go to some little biscuit spots in West Virginia because I'm pretty sure the food is good there. Come on, Bobby Huggins, cut it out.
He's a winner though. He's a winner. He has his teams in the mix every year.
Yeah, that's why I can't hate him because he's consistent with it. Jennifer Roberts, she said, I will never say Gino. Now, is this fact or is this a sense of sarcasm?
No,
she has like Scott's about to say, she is a diehard UConn women's fan. And so like she loves Gino Auriemma. And that was basically saying she will never, ever, ever. And trust me, we've had many conversations about her University of Connecticut. And oh man. Jen, love you. Miss your face.
Your face, he misses it. Thanks, Jennifer. I think this is our first time in Choices of the Voices, so welcome, and don't be the last time, right? Let this be the first and never the last. Moving right along, we got MVP, the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max. He said Bruce Pearl, whenever he was coaching Tennessee or Auburn, kind of a scumbag. Now, Uncle Max's affiliation is the University of Alabama. So with Tennessee and Auburn, I get it. And his hatred for Bruce Pearl. Didn't he take his shirt off one year?
Oh, he did something strange like that, I think. Yeah, he's a lively character. He's a lively character, that Bruce Pearl.
Yeah. And that joke will sweat through his shirt too. He will sweat through his shirt, wringing out his shirt. What the hell, Bruce? It's just a basketball game, brother. Calm, tranquilo, calm all the way down. Been a while since I broke that one out. Something might be coming soon. You never know. All right, so here we go. David Romito. He says Gail Catlett. Scottie D, can you help us out with this one?
I honestly, I don't really remember much about Gail Catlett, but he was a head coach for West Virginia for many years. And I really don't have anything to add. I don't really know much about the guy, honestly. That one kind of came out of nowhere. But thank you for the answer there, Ramito. You remember something that I don't remember.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you don't like it, then this is the place to describe your disdain for Gail Catlett. Joy Buckets, Joe Gafkin, he said, Bobby Knight, just because he seems to be a verbally abusive D-bag. In my honest opinion, IMHO. Yeah, so he like on Bobby Knight.
Yep.
Well, you really can't go wrong with Bobby Knight. And I took a second to pull up Gail Catlett. I just want to bring this up. Mm-hmm. There's a story about him where he denied knowledge of directing numerous and serious recruiting violations performed by an assistant coach while he was the head coach of University of Cincinnati. So maybe that could be something like sounds like a real serious recruiting violation. So maybe that could be the spin part. I've honestly never heard the name. So hey, as that's what Google is here for. So what do you say? What do you do? All right.
I guess with that being said, I guess you say Gail Catlett was on his early 80s SMU football tip by getting them guys impermissible benefits and doing all this other stuff. And yeah, that's if you want a good 30 for 30 watch, check out The Pony Excess. It's one of my favorite 30 for 30s of all time.
Yeah, that was good. I saw that one.
Yep. We're not gonna say the 4-letter network at Come On because they ain't cutting no check. If they ain't cutting no check, We cannot mention them none whatsoever. None at all. Well, fellas, that was a short list of the choices of the voices. Shout out to Joe, Dave, Uncle Max, Jennifer, Corey Logren, Mark Olds, our big brother JR, and Rodney for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Be Live. Who can you not stand to see win but love it when they lose? Who you got?
It's a pretty short list. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. My answer is not Coach K.
Wow.
Oh.
It's not Coach K. I was close. I'm not as respectful as some of these guys were on the choice of. I'm just not that dude. But I will mention Coach K because I don't like his face. I don't like his nose. But I'm gonna say what it is. I'm not going to choose Frank Martin because we've seen him lose so much this year that, you know what, almost takes the fun out of it. But there was a consensus. There was a consensus with the choice of voices, and that's going to be my choice. I'm just looking at the steak face collection. But there's a consensus, and really, Bobby Knight was just, it wasn't even the fact that I wanted to see him lose. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I enjoyed his antics. It was entertaining. Like, he was so passionate. Yes, he was wrong, but I'm just devil's advocate. I like just raw. I like to see that. And just also, I want to say something to you, Scottie D. Please bring this back when college football season comes up, because, oh my goodness, I got a list of college football coaches.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind for sure. We're gonna write that one down.
And half of them coach at the University of Columbia.
I knew it. I'll go ahead. He don't like Brad Scott. He don't like Steve Spurrier. He don't like the interim guy that was there. He don't like Coach Joe Moore. He don't not name one of them. He don't like them all.
Don't forget Lou Holtz. He on that list too.
You talking about Lou Holtz, the coach at South Carolina University? Lou, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but your saliva, you can keep it, partner.
But yeah, Bobby Knight. I honestly, I'll never ever grow tired of seeing him throw a chair, ever. It's fun.
Yep. Scottie D, who you got?
This one is so easy for me. Jim Boeheim. I love to watch Jim Boeheim lose. He does that smile that means I'm really unhappy, but I'm grinning through it. Whenever he's getting bad calls or if his team's turning it over down the stretch, he does that grin thing. He actually turns orange. The name of his team is the Orange, and he's actually that color. He does that grin thing. Then he gets very frustrated and upset. And throughout the game, he does a whole lot of nose picking. He goes into the nostril with the thumb and pulls up. I cannot wait to watch him lose again. And I hope he loses in the first round of this tournament coming up this week. I enjoy it. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm a Pitt fan. There's been a rivalry going back with them from the Big East over into the ACC. And when I was working at Overtime, many Syracuse fans would come in and make me sick. And so when they would lose, it was like the trickle down. Boeheim was sad and they were sad. It was just a fantastic treat to watch Syracuse lose. Jim Boeheim is my easy answer. I hope he loses again. I hope he coaches another 80 years so I can watch him lose a lot more. So that's my guy, Boeheim. How about you, Eddy Cool?
Scottie D said he hope he coaches another 80 years.
He's been coaching 80 already. I want to see him coach another 80.
What's that one? There's a meme floating around, and it has Jim Boeheim with his cloak flailing, and he doing this, and raisins does not go into potato salad or something to that extent. You seen it?
Yeah. Okay.
You've seen it. Find it, and we'll put it up on the podcast Facebook like page. If I could tick a talk tonight. All right. So with that being said, the guy that I like seeing lose the most, I'm gonna have to say Bobby Knight, because the thing about it is he out here beating up other people's kids when he's been put in charge of to help them grow and develop, not scare the bejesus out of them. A very successful coach. He had an old school way of coaching that would not fly in the 21st century of today. You breathe on somebody wrong and it's over with for you. Trust me. I'm not going to say I've seen it happen, but what I've learned from 2020 going on 2021, do not be surprised at what you see and what you hear and how people get fired and how they got fired. So I'm going to say Bobby Knight, man, throwing that
transfer portal. It'd be of a transfer portal conversation all the time.
Yeah, Indiana wouldn't be able to field a team on the court because they, I ain't got time for this. I'd rather go to Valdosta State and deal with mosquitoes this country plays as opposed to dealing with Bobby Knight. But yeah, Bobby Knight was it came to a point where it was doing too much, and he kind of calmed down when he went to Texas Tech. Was doing the whole guns blazing thing. I'm like, all right, this might be pretty good. And then his career wound down, and he became an analyst on ESPN. Did he choke somebody there? No, he didn't. But as B-Live said, man, it's the antics. But sometimes the antics outweigh the product. I was like, yeah, Bobby Knight, you need to hold a few of these L's.
Hey, speaking of Indiana, they just fired their coach today, Monday. They had Archie Miller, who was a hot candidate a few years ago. 4 seasons at Indiana, and they never broke into the Big Dance. I think he finished under 500 in the Big Ten and didn't make it to the tournament. So Indiana's back in the market for another coach once again. It will not be Bobby Knight.
Where's good old Tom Crean at? Where he's not?
Yeah, he was the guy he replaced, and so Indiana basketball has been struggling for a while. That's a proud program. Guys, I'm surprised nobody went with Coach K or Rick Pitino, and they're kind of like a couple of the bad guys that are out there. I thought for sure somebody would jump on Pitino because he got bounced from a couple programs.
Well, see, the thing about Rick Pitino, man, he trying to get them boys some free shoes and some stripper gals up in there. Hey, you wanna come to Louisville? Let's see what's going on. See what you got going on here. You talking about guys like Calipari and Pitino? They have a reputation. They have their reputation precedes them. Like in between them, they have like what, 2 national championships apiece. Like you
stripped.
Stripped. Right. Yeah, it's like you do all this illegal stuff to get these kids there, and then it comes out like years down the road. By the way, he cheated. Matter of fact, didn't former NBA player Chuck Person get caught up in that same scandal or whatever involving him and the coach of Arizona? It's just
he went to jail. He got arrested for that.
Yeah,
but somehow Calipari keeps wriggling off the hook. Sean Miller was involved in that too somehow, and I think Arizona somehow evaded some of those issues. But yeah, Chuck Person was in big trouble. A couple of those guys getting some real hot water, but that did cost Pitino his job. Now he's at Iona, and he's back in the tournament again with his 5th team. 5th team he's taken to the NCAA tournament. That's incredible.
The man knows how to coach basketball. It's just
I'd take him at Pitt tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd take him in Columbia.
I'd take him tomorrow.
I would take him in Columbia. And that would give B-Live another person from South Carolina to be mad at. Scottie D, with that being said, what's next week's question for the choices of the voices?
All right, we're going to start working on another 100 next week. And we are going to go again with a March Madness question. This is going to be kind of just a general one, but we just are going to ask you to tell us about one of your favorite March Madness memories, something that happened in the tournament, a storyline, a moment, a shot, a game, anything having to do with March Madness, a favorite moment or a favorite game, a favorite storyline, just something of a favorite anything from March Madness, we'll say. That's what we're going to do next week.
All right, that's it for this edition of Choices of the Voices. And come back next week where we talk about more college football and people doing impermissible benefits to make things happen on the next edition of the Choices of the Voices.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the woman. She said, let's wrap it up. Let's go home. And it is time for another round of pepper. Yep, pepper points. You know how we do it. 3 topics. We talk about them rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. We're here to kind of, sort of educate and entertain and enlighten or something like that. But you love it and we keep on doing it. So we're going to keep on doing it. And I'll go first. Marque numero uno. All right. On this day in history, back in 1900 and 1996, Mike Tyson TKOs Frank Bruno to win the heavyweight title. You know, fellas, last year Mike Tyson had a fight, and it wasn't really a fight. It was more like a sparring contest, but I still wouldn't fight him. Still wouldn't do it. Over to you, Scottie D.
One of the most compelling fighters, actually one of the most compelling athletes ever. All right, I'm going to stick on the fight game here. 2 weeks ago, UFC had a pay-per-view that looked great on paper and ended up being so-so. And this last week, they had a so-so on paper card that was actually a really good one. But for the second week in a row, Bila, remember last week we talked about the knee from Petr Yan to Aljamain Sterling while he was grounded. We had the same thing happen this week in a light heavyweight fight. Eric Anders, whose nickname is Ya Boy threw a knee into the head of Darren Stewart while he was grounded. That's no contest. And then in the main event, Leon Edwards, who has not fought in 19 months, he's been dying to get back into the cage. He fights Bilal Muhammad, a guy who stepped up on a month's notice just to help take this fight. I gouged him. It was bad. The guy's yelling, screaming. Fortunately, they're saying his vision is going to slowly return. He couldn't see anything that night, so they had to stop the fight. But the main event was spoiled. But coming up, a middleweight fight next week is going to be Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen Kevin Holland fight yet, but this is the one fighter I want to see keep fighting in a place that has no fans, because this dude talks while he's fighting. His tall brother, last time he fought, he knocked out a guy while he was on his back. He was laying down in an ankle hold, and he punched the guy and busted him up. So he's fighting Derek Brunson. This is going to be a key fight here in the middleweight division. So stay tuned. UFC, always entertaining. Got more coming up. Be Live, over to you.
All right. Wow.
Your boy.
Yeah, boy. Copyright infringement. I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need some royalties.
He about to send him a C and D.
So you may have heard this in the news this past week about the New Orleans Saints and Taysom Hill. With Drew Brees officially retiring, Taysom Hill got a new contract extension in the tunes of 4 years, $140 million.
Stop it. That's not true.
Man, why would I bring it up?
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought he got a 1 year, like $14 million deal. I thought he got like a one.
Yes, he did get it. Now let me mention why this is ridiculous.
You don't have to go any further. That's plenty ridiculous.
Well, no. But
I want to hear this. I want to hear it. Yeah, lay this one on me, String Bean.
It gets good, Scott. Trust it. It gets good.
Well, here's the thing about the contract extension. 0 of it is guaranteed, and all 4 years are voidable on the contract. It's not going to
tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
So what they did is they changed his roster bonus into a signing bonus for this year. So they included that into a new contract. So it will save them money on the cap. It ends up saving them like $8 million. Actually, I think it's a little bit more than that. But the reason why it just looks funny that the next, like, he's gonna get paid next year. But the following 4 years of that contract are all completely voidable. And all goodness. It is just a maneuver to save salary cap money for this coming year.
Thank God.
But I did that just for the reaction that the money man just gave.
I wish his agent was Dak's agent, because I'd like to void that contract tomorrow.
Oh boy, here we go.
Well, with that being said, Eddy Cool, the ball.
All right, ball's back in my court, and I will take it once again. All right, Drew Brees, a gentleman that B-Live just mentioned shortly in his previous pepper point. After 20 years, he said, "You know what? I'm done. It's all over. I'm good. I don't want to play football anymore." And after a few months of speculation, Drew Brees finally decides to hang up the cleats and called it a career after 20 years of playing top-level, top-notch football. Give you a little quick rundown of Drew Brees' stats, as I got my little, my pad right here. He has 80,358 passing yards all time. That's a lot of throwing the football around. He has and I think he has 4 seasons of maybe passing for 5,000 yards or more, right? And I think no one has ever done it twice. He's done it like 4 or 5 times. 571 passing touchdowns, a 13-time Pro Bowl selection, the 2004 Comeback Player of the Year. Let's see. Then after that, we have the 2006 Walter Payton Man of the Year, the Associated Press Offensive Player in the years 2008 and 2011, and 1 Super Bowl to boot as well too. So as far as Drew Brees being the first ballot Hall of Famer, that's not even debatable because he gonna get in there.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna get in there. He's a shoo-in, if you will, for a Hall of Famer. So happy trails to you, Drew Brees. And as a Panthers fan, I speak for B-Live, but I'm glad we ain't got to see you twice a year. Over to you, Scottie D.
Yeah, man. Drew Brees is he's a guy who's it's almost like he quietly did all that stuff. Didn't it seem like he was? I mean, as much as he did, it always seemed like he was somehow forgotten under the radar while it was going on. But classy guy, and all the best to Drew Brees. All right, speaking of, I'm going to go the opposite to non-classy guys, and I'm talking about a gentleman by the name of Tom Wilson from the Washington Capitals. Last week, the NHL suspended him for 7 games for a hit on Brandon Carlo of the Boston Bruins. It was a dirty hit, flat out dirty. He went up into the boards, put the man's head into the glass. It was as a defenseless player. You know, the guy's playing the puck on the boards, and he just absolutely just ravaged him. This is his 5th suspension since 2017, his 5th one. If this guy wasn't wearing skates and surrounded by a rink, he would go to jail for the things that he's doing. He would be arrested. If you did something that he did last week or a couple of weeks ago to someone on the street, if you just would level somebody in the head like that, you would get arrested for it. At what point is enough for the NHL with this guy? I am sick of this guy. I'm sick of this guy always starting fights, playing dirty, and putting other players' careers in danger. It's time for the NHL to get this dude out of there. And I don't like the Capitals anyway. Penguins, hottest team on ice. Over to you, B-Live.
No. Penguins are not the hottest team on ice. That would be my it'd be my Carolina Hurricanes. Oh yeah. Also, I like fighting in hockey, but no, when you just defenseless, that's a whole nother situation. But
different story. Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. Scottie D, I'm gonna do you a favor.
Do me a favor.
I'm gonna do you a favor. I am going to switch my pepper point. At this moment of time, I would normally talk about the fan controlled football league, and they're in the playoffs. They just had the semifinals this week, but I'm not going to do so because something.
Everybody's in the semifinals. There's only 4 teams. They're all in semifinals.
But see, but this right here, I stumbled on a story that is definitely breaking news, and I want to mention in context a little bit. The women's college basketball bracket just came out with NC State, the South Carolina Gamecocks, Stanford, and UConn earning number 1 seeds in their tournament. But we are still in a pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. It was just reported today, Monday, as we are recording, that Coach, and we just talked about him just a little bit ago, but Coach Gino Auriemma tested positive for COVID. And he's going to miss the first and second round of the tournament. Again, UConn is better than everybody except for those three aforementioned teams. And there's been too many times that the number one seeds in those brackets all make it to the Final Four. So there's really not much to worry about, but heartfelt, hope he gets better. They said it was he's showing no more symptoms. It was very, very mild when it comes to the symptoms, I think. So I just hope him a very speedy recovery. Coach Gino, greatest of all time. Coach Gino, get better. Eddy Cool, the ball.
Yep, get well, Gino Auriemma. Get well, Gino. At first I was kind of like, should I say I hate watching Gino Auriemma lose? I'm like, nah, I just want to see who's going to stop him. And from the looks of it, it seems like nobody just can't stop Gino, because Gino is just Gino is a one-of-a-kind coach, man, and he makes it happen. All right, enough of me rambling. On this day in history, back in 1994, Joel Embiid was born. Today is Joel Embiid's birthday. He's injured right now, and what does he have? Like a hyperextended knee, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit of a little bit of a hyperextension issue going on pretty soon. Before that, he was on a tear and was a front-runner candidate for the MVP award of the National Basketball Association, the NBA. Happy birthday to Joel Embiid, who was born in Cameroon. I'm not going to try to pronounce his hometown because I'll butcher it. I'll put a knife to that thing real fast. But happy birthday to you, Joel Embiid. And for you and Coach Gino Auriemma, guys, get well soon. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, so one more point here on the college basketball scene. And guys, last week, I like to watch a little bit of late night TV, a little bit of Pac-12 basketball, and it has been ruined for me. Now, you guys know that I am not a big fan of Doris Burke, but I would have loved to have had her do the broadcast the other night rather than Bill Walton. Bill Walton is terrible. Bill Walton makes it a point to say the Conference of Champions at least a dozen times a minute. The other night, he said it 4 times in his open, which was about 30 seconds. The Conference of Champions. Now, that would be kind of okay, except that they're not the Conference of Champions. They have won 15 championships. 13 of them were 1975 and earlier. And then in 95, UCLA won it. And in 97, Arizona won it. And then none again after 1997. So stop saying Conference of Champions. They're not the Conference of Champions if they're winning 2 titles in the last 45 years. Stop it. Stop making me turn off the TV and miss the end of games because I don't want to hear you, Bill Walton, just because you're still high from the 70s and think UCLA is still winning championships. That's all I got. Be live, over to you. Conference of Champions.
Yes. Money man rant. Yes.
I can't take him. I can't take Bill Walton. Stop that. Stop saying Conference of Champions over and over again.
Conference
Stop
of
it.
Champions.
Yeah, just stop that. Say something. Say Pac-12. Stop saying that.
Oh man. Love it. Absolutely love the Money Man rants.
No titles in 23 years. Conference of Champions. Go ahead, Eli.
All right. I want to take this opportunity to end this Pepper segment on a great note. And this also goes back to one of the most memorable moments that the Sports Bro and our existence the past couple of years. I definitely rank this up here. And this is something we get to take it back home. We get to take it back home. Don't mind Eddy Cool about to sneeze on the camera, but so yeah, we live, baby. But yes. 2020 has been just monumental and just how the world has been affected. But something really good came out of 2020 and going into 2021. And I would just like to take this opportunity to congratulate the North Myrtle Beach, me and Eddy Cool's alma mater high school, North Myrtle Beach High School, men's football and women's basketball teams, both of them this academic year gained and earned lower state championship status. And we are so proud of those young athletes, what they've had to endure and everything that they have accomplished this year. I also want to give a quick shout out to an 8th grader that led the team on the girls, Destiny Vereen, 8th grade, leading force on the girls basketball program, the Lady Chiefs. I definitely want to give a shout out to her and just the amazing accomplishments of those student athletes at North Myrtle Beach High School. And with the hashtag, once a chief, always a chief. Thank you so much for just an amazing year. And we here at the Sports Bros Podcast, we love you. Keep pushing. Yes, sir.
Yep, and keep on pushing. All right, fellas, did we get all of our pepper points in?
That's it for me.
All right.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Just also wanted to mention, we lost a legend on Saturday, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He was my favorite of the big four from the early 80s of Duran, Hearns, Hagler, and Sugar Ray. And he died unexpectedly, they said, at age 66. So rest in peace, Marvelous One.
Rest in peace, champ. Rest in peace, champ. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, episode 100 of the Sports Bros Podcast is in the books. Fellas, we did it. We did it. We made it to 100 episodes. Some people have podcasts. They don't make it past episode 5. But guess what? We made it to episode 100. The reason being is because of our love of sports and also our listeners. We do this for us. We do this for you. And as been said before, we'll say it again. It's a sports podcast by the fans, for the fans, or for the fans, by the fans. Whatever, you get it. It's for y'all. Y'all get it. And that's another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast in the books. With that being said, Scottie D, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, where I weekly post our choices of the voices. And I am on the other thing with the little birdie. I actually have been tweeting during fights the last couple of weeks. If you want to follow me on Twitter, and let's do a little tweeting while the UFC's on, or maybe I'll tweet during golf. I watch a lot of golf, and got baseball on the horizon. NHL is cooking, and March Madness, baby. So, hey, listen, guys, for those of you, some of you guys have started listening to this podcast very early in our 100 episodes, guys like JR, Max, and Matty Ice, and we thank you. And some of our newer guys like Joe Gafkin, man, we thank you so much for sticking with us each and every week, man. We really appreciate it, because we have a lot of fun doing this. As you tell, we don't try to be experts or give you some kind of crazy inside knowledge. We're just sports fans rapping sports, and we like having you guys basically do it with us. So thank you all for helping us get to this point. We've had a lot of fun with our first 100, and hope to keep the train rolling.
Yep. Be-Live, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at home here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I got the chance to work from home. Yay. But more than anything, when it comes to the Sports Bros Podcast, all of our social media sites. Definitely continue to follow us on our Facebook like page, our Instagram, our Twitter. And for those that want to follow Scott Donnelly on Twitter, since he didn't give that information, you can you can follow him at Money Donnelly. You can follow me. I remembered. But
thanks for having my back.
Oh, always. Sometimes not really. But anyway, you can follow me on my Twitter. This be your boy, Be Live. No I at the beginning. So THSBEYABLIV to the E. Yes, sir. Just continue to support. I'm almost lost for words, which is pretty amazing, but the amount of support that we have received from our listeners, man, just second to none. We love y'all so much, and we are just getting started. Stay tuned. I feel like we're getting better and better every single week, and that's because of you. We are the Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan. Yes, sir.
And with that being said, that leaves me, the HOC Eddy Cool here at the Sports Bros Podcast. All right, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, that leaves me, Eddy Cool, a.k.a. the HOC here at the Sports Bros Podcast. Of course, you can find me all over the place. You can find me on the Sports Me app at SportsBro19, all of the aforementioned Sports Bros Podcast, social media platforms, websites, everything, so forth and so such. Keep on checking up on that YouTube channel because we putting out a lot of stuff. And since we've been doing this whole Zoom thing, we've been having a little bit of fun with it. But guess what? This ain't the end of it, none whatsoever. Catch me on Instagram, Cool Season, all one word. Snapchat, Supercool 5000. Twitter, Twitter, The Real Eddy Cool. And also here on the Sports Bros Podcast on Anchor FM and also on our Facebook like page as well, too. All right, fellas, we got any closing words before we get up out of here? Watch the rest of Monday Night Raw and eat some chicken?
Yes. One more thing I just want to say, I want to thank you, Eddy, for doing all this editing and technical stuff that we've been doing the last couple of years, because I come on here, I do a rant, and then I leave. And then you stuck with editing it and making sure that I don't sound stupid. And so I know you put a lot more work in it, and B-Live does a lot of this technical stuff, and he does his what happened things. And so these two guys are a lot more creative than I am, and they're smarter with technical stuff than I am. I just come out here and yell about stuff. So thank you guys, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yep. Scottie D, you come a long way from talking to your couches about sports and them not talking back. I remember when he first put that SOS out, he was like, man, I got to talk sports with you, man, because my couches won't talk back. And then the gears with the clicking. Yeah, let me go ahead and get this little podcast started right now. Ask Scottie D, he said yes. The Almighty B-Live, he said yes. And a few days ago, I went back and listened to episode 1. Wow. We've come a long way between B-Live having Chewini run-ins and everything, and that's just oh man, just
oh boy.
Here's a secret. I'm working on a outtakes package and a best of the Sports Bros Podcast episode. So we just might hear a Chewini running.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe or maybe not. Yeah, that's it. Episode 100 of the Sports Bros Podcast. Shout out to Ms. Button and also the man at the intro himself.
Moses.
Yes.
Moses Braxton.
Yes, Moses Braxton. I didn't want to call him the wrong name. Yes. Also, shout out to Moses Braxton. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, episode 101. The 101, the flyest podcast under the sun. All right, fellas. Y'all got anything to say before we get up out of here?
We keep it 100. Yes, sir.
And then in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Wear your mask, be safe. And once again, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. So this is what we're doing. We're just getting up, leaving. Okay. Cool with that.
100, baby. Yes, sir.
Hey, we love y'all. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye. You know, man.